breath for just a minute because I want to put a question to you first while the other questions come in. And Jim has begun to text me the questions that are coming in from the folks that are not with us. Aren't you and...
What's up, everybody? Let's go further back. So this video, this is part three. Let's just change it up a little bit. There you go. Wait. Hopefully it's not backwards. Okay, it's backwards. There you go. So this is part 3 of the series. Now this is the open questions, open debate. The other two I skip. I'm just going to skip and make this series a short little 3-part series. So I'm just going to, skip the rebuttals and just go to the questions and talk about what we're watching on this debate, this video, Yaron Brooke versus Gene. A debate about virtue, selfishness as a virtue. If you see it on the title, is selfishness a virtue? And I'm going to talk about Yaron's philosophy throughout the video, objectivism and philosophy in general, and while I'm making this video, enjoy.
Yaron, really on the same page? And isn't this just a semantic argument over the sounds of the word selfish? And doesn't it really have nothing to do with Ayn Rand?
It's nothing to do with Ayn Rand. Well, is greed, can I ask you a question, Judge? Is greed
No.
Okay.
This is my courtroom,
Well,
and I've put the question to you, Professor.
Ayn Rand wrote a book called The Virtue of Selfishness. She put it out into the language. She defended the virtue of selfishness. She said, I want this word to be out there precisely because it gets people upset. This is the exact meaning of the word. Ever since she wrote that book in 1964, a good many decades ago, we've been hearing this selfish mantra over and over again from Yaron. So it's not and others. So it's hardly something that has nothing to do with Ayn Rand. She put it out there, and she put it out there because she was a refugee from Bolshevism, and she hated the state that would accuse her of being selfish because she didn't serve the state. We don't bear her scars. We don't have to continue this foolish satire.
Yaron, respond, please.
Well, I think it's ridiculous.
First question pops up in my head. What is satire? What does he mean by satire? What does he mean by satire if this is just ethics? It's ethics. Maybe he's talking about ethics of cinema, ethics of literature ethics, the rules of ethics, rules of literature, literary rules. Maybe he's talking about that. And the reason why Ayn Rand wrote Virtue of Selfishness was not because of Soviet Russia. It was mostly because she came up with the idea and virtue of selfishness, and she sees ethics as not as Christian ethics, but the opposite of Christian ethics. Ethics that's pro-human, pro-capitalism, pro-individuality, pro-egoism. So, and what Gene means by satire is that Ayn Rand is poking fun at selfishness, but not as the ethical, but ethical satire. He's speaking about Ayn Rand as an ethical satire, like Romantic Manifesto is a ethical satire, but it's not ethical satire. Ethical satire is like Five Spaghetti Monster. That's ethical satire, like religious ethical satire, like making fun of creationists while pretending that they're creationists. So you see what I'm getting at? You see what I'm getting at? So Gene is talking about satire to objectivists. Talk about objectivists as a satirical philosophy, but it's not. Let's continue on with the video.
Ridiculous to attribute everything you don't like about Ayn Rand to experiences in the Soviet Union. But, there's this tendency now to make everybody a product of their environment. Ayn Rand was a genius. She knew exactly what she was doing when she suggested the word selfish. She was trying to overturn a moral tradition. She was trying to question and challenge the long-standing, primarily Christian, but secular as well, tradition of...
Like I said, your book just said it right there. Your book just said it right there. Your book just said it right there.
self-sacrifice and altruism. And she was arguing that if you believe in man, not forget economics, forget freedom, forget politics, if you believe in you as a human being, then what we need is a different morality, a different moral code. She was challenging Adam Smith's moral code. She believed, and I believe, and I know he thinks I'm just a mouthpiece for, an unthinking, I guess, mouthpiece for Ayn Rand. That was the suggestion.
No one could suggest that you were unthinking.
Well, I think Gene did.
I called you a force of nature in the cause of freedom and free markets.
But, no.
And I believe that.
But to me, freedom and free markets are secondary. To me, much more important is what individuals pursue in their own life, the kind of life you as an individual take on yourself. And most important to me is the kind of life I take on for myself. And what Ayn Rand is trying to do is challenge us, is say this Christian morality of sacrifice and altruism is wrong. The morality that Adam Smith upheld in the theory of moral sentiments is wrong. It's anti-life, it's anti-human, and ultimately it's anti-freedom and anti-capitalism. And she is presenting in that essay a new morality. And to the extent that we, as a free market movement, don't take that seriously, we will ultimately lose. This is a battle, the battle for liberty and freedom, that is won or lost in philosophy and morality, not in economics. And if we don't pick up the mantle, you don't like the word selfish, use self-interest, use egoist. But the idea of placing one's own life, one's own well-being, one's own flourishing at the center of one's life, as the goal of one's life, that is crucial to our victory, political and economic. But more importantly, again, it's crucial to you living a good life. And that's what you should care about. You should care about living a good life.
All right, I know you want to catch your breath, but the questions have
I
started
never
to
want
come
to
in.
catch my breath.
So here's a very interesting question for Yaron. If a selfish person does a moral action, such as donating to a charity, because it makes him feel better, can we really call it selfishness?
Look,
wouldn't it just be the empathy of the inherent human condition?
But you see, the question has already bought into the anti-morality that I believe. Giving to charity is not necessarily moral. It might be, it might not be. What makes it moral is it rationally in your self-interest to give to charity? And I believe in some situations it is, and in some situations it isn't. If it comes out of the money that you would feed your kids, it is downright evil to give to charity. If your kids are more important than your neighbor's kids, you know, how many of you, if your kids are drowning and your neighbor's kids are drowning, go for the neighbor's kids first? You selfish bastards, you love your children more than your neighbor's children.
Okay.
Right. No, so the framework has to be, the framework of this new moral code is that what is your self-interest is moral. So charity is moral only if it's in your self-interest, if it's rationally supportive of your life in some way. And I believe charity can be, but isn't always.
Bearing in mind that Professor Epstein's offspring is seated in the front row, he wants to address the choice of who to rescue. I'm kidding. You want to respond to this?
Look. Again,
I think
we could throw out a lot of different words for Ayn Rand and for Yaron to defend. The word self-interest, by the way, is essentially in the dictionary. It's a milder version. He's a self-interested person, slightly milder than selfish. Look, we have a lot of self-actualization, the pursuit of happiness. All of the individual's pursuit of happiness is a virtue. Isn't that good enough for all of us, for Yaron. Self-actualization is a virtue. Individuals do matter, and that's partly because I believe that Yaron and I both share Adam Smith's view that we are all compassionate, some of us very compassionate. Adam Smith even added that you find compassion even in the worst brigand. All that simple vocabulary that the English language offers covers.
Where you get the gist of what's going on in this question part of the debate. So yeah, so that's objectivism versus not altruism, but a form of egoism, a form of pseudo-egoism. Gene is promoting pseudo-egoism. Well, a form of egoism, but it's kind of pseudo. It's like, well, if you're what's the word? If you're I forgot the word. If you're comparing the two with objectivism and Gene's form of egoism with objectivist egoism, selfishness, then Gene's form of egoism is pseudo-egoism, not complete egoism, or not even, well, yeah, because selfishness and then less self-interest, like what Gene will promote, what he's talking about. So yes, two different forms of egoism. And yeah, that's all for this short video. It's the shortest one out of the three videos of this series that I made for you guys. So peace the fuck out.
Objectivism. It's a guide to living here. Developed by this writer. Wondering who needs a philosophy? She answered that. To deal with real life, we need a view of the world and our place in it. Now, some people have strong opinions on objectivism. It's a philosophy that's controversial because it advocates selfishness and says altruism is evil. But we'll get back to that. Rand's philosophy looks something like this. It starts with the idea that reality is objective. The universe is what it is, not what we want it to be. And wishing otherwise won't make it so. Next, it states that our reason is all we have and all we need for understanding the world around us. And if reason is an absolute, you can't accept contradictions. It also says your highest moral purpose should be the pursuit of your own selfish happiness. Now, selfishness can be misinterpreted. It doesn't mean exploit others for your own gain. It means realize your highest potential by pursuing rational ends and live in harmony with others by respecting their right to their own life and happiness. The result of this philosophy is a life of reason, purpose, self-esteem, a philosophy for living on earth.
If you know that this life is all that you have, wouldn't you make the most of it?